brings you here today?
I am Denelle Fishback, and I am, look at you, Danelle Fishback, and I am from Omaha, Nebraska, and I was born March 26, 1993.
Denell? Is that how you pronounce your name?
Denelle.
Denell?
But I go by Dani. He's like, which one? Trust me, they all say that too. They're like, which one? Because I've had Morgan Lee, Little Kimchi.
You seem very, very happy. I can only imagine how was your childhood. Can you share that with us?
Yeah.
How happy were you?
I was really happy as a kid. I definitely was when I was a kid. And then when it was very traditional, right? Like I grew up in Nebraska, family was super Christian. Tradition was a thing. Seasons were great. Outside all the time. Always was playing outside. And I was very creative and I was very curious when I was a kid. My brother, more reserved. Me, always needed to know what was going on. So I was the black sheep of the family, let's just say. But, you know, for the most part, I'd say until we got to a certain age, everything was pretty good.
How do you describe yourself today compared to back in the days?
Definitely different. I would say I had to grow up in ways pretty fast that turned me into, at first, a harsh person, to then in turn now a compassionate person. So right now where we're at, I'd say for me, we became matured from where we're at as a kid. You know, life was happy and you didn't know things. And then when you get older and life happens, you become an adult and have to go through things that either make or break you, right? And I'd say for me right now, I am in a place that I am still learning about myself, but also healing right now, if that makes sense.
When you look back, what were one of your admirations or dreams that you had?
So my dreams were always to help people. I don't know what it was going to be through. I mean, honestly, when I was a kid, I really wanted to do like a lot of mission work because I grew up Christian. So I wanted to help people. And when I was doing hair school, I wanted to like go travel and like do women's hair and care like in different third world countries and things like that. So that was kind of like a goal I wanted to do when I was like, you know, going into hair school and stuff. But that was just kind of like for me is I just knew I wanted to help people. That was it. That was all in my heart, mind, and soul is to help people.
Did you feel like you were getting the support by your family, friends at that age? And hoping that they would see that through you?
No. No. I don't think anybody felt that from me or thought. I think those dreams started disappearing when my family stuff started happening internally.
Did you feel that your life was just moving so fast? You grew up so fast and you didn't have time to develop those dreams?
Yes. Yes. I feel like I was in fight or flight mode most of my life. Yes. I felt also that, you know, at the time, what's the word? Since I had a brother, like the focus was more on the brother than me at certain points in time. So for me, I was like the black sheep. So, you know, when that happens, you kind of start veering away from goals and dreams and things like that.
Can you walk us through when you were introduced to a world that is not very welcomed by humanity?
Yes. Yes. So getting into the industry I got into was the adult industry. And for me, like I would say, even just like having the thought of the innocence being taken away, right? That's the one thing that, like, I'd say society is like a no-no, you know, especially as a woman. As soon as you step into that field, your innocence is just taken immediately, okay? And I'll say this. I didn't expect certain things to come and turn into the way it did just stepping in like right first day. Like I didn't know what world I was coming into. I think it just naturally starts happening when you're a desperate person, because you'll start doing things for money when you're desperate, right? So I was in a place where I was very desperate at the time for money, and I was struggling for a while and had a lot of unfortunate things going on, like, you know, with family things that had put me in a place where I felt like I had no option but to run to this at the time. And for me, I knew that if I was going to do this, I didn't want like anybody to know about it, right? Like I was just like, okay, I'm going to get in, get out. And it was presented to me in a way that was like kind of weird, where it just kind of fell into place. So I was like, I'll just do this real quick and no one's going to know. And then what happens is when money comes into play, right? When you're desperate and you don't have a lot of money, you just kind of start getting addicted, let's just say, which helped me survive, right? Like in the hustle mode. But in turn, like what was happening was like the money I realized wasn't really serving me. Like I felt like my soul was genuinely like hurting because of what I was doing for money. And I had been ignoring it for a while, because I think when you go through a lot of traumatic experiences, you just start desensitizing, right? And then when you're making money this way, this is just how it is, right? And for me, I was very lonely at the time too. So I didn't have, it wasn't like I was like wanting to go tell anyone, like my family or anything, these things, right? Like I wasn't like calling them and being like, oh, I'm going to go jump into this and da da da. I just felt like very alone. And I felt like I needed to do what I needed to do, because I knew like my family couldn't help me at the time, or things that were going on where it put me like, okay, I need to fend for myself and do what I need to do. But like I said, I knew the consequences that were going to come with it. And that's what ended up kind of happening with me while I started getting into this, was having good and bad things happening while being in it. Because I'll say this, a lot of people do talk really bad about the industry that I'm in. I've actually met a lot of great women in it, right? There's good and bad that comes with it. And for me, like, I'm blessed that it's been able to get me to where I have so far. But in turn, though, the decisions that I made in it and what I went through in it was not okay. So, and then for me now being older, looking back, I wish I'd never had gotten into it, right? Because I probably would have missed a lot of things and dodged a lot of unfortunate things that happened to me because of it. I think when you go down into that kind of world, you better expect like a darker world, if that makes sense.
Once you were presented to this world, what surprised you the most? And what's the misconception that people have?
I would say what surprised me the most was the people that were like in it. Like I just would always just wonder like how people were getting into my industry, right? And like everyone had like a pretty crazy story. So that was something too that I had to understand, was there was a lot of broken, hurt people in that industry when I was in. A lot of people were coming from abusive situations, or something bad was happening where they just felt like this was the option that they had to take. So I was surprised at seeing some of the girls that were in there, right? I'm like, why are, and the men who were in it too, like it was just seeing like this hidden world of people that are doing this stuff that like nobody's thinking about, right? And everybody would always stereotype that like no adult stars can get out of this, or life after this is like that, right? And everybody was very like cruel even towards us in ways, which was kind of hard on me too, is I had to also see how mean people were to people like me. it wasn't just dealing with the fact of what I'm already doing for money, right? But it's just how people are portraying me in life. And that was hurting me in a way that also, like, I was having, like, it just doesn't feel good. Like, it's just going to wear on you, like, over time. And, it put me into a really, like, bad place mentally with things that I'd say, like I said, really showed me what the real world could be like. People don't give people like me a chance to do something outside of it.
Was there a moment you said, I can't do this anymore? And what changed? Was it internally, externally? What made you choose yourself?
My daughter. If it weren't for her, I would not be where I'm at right now. I know God knew that I needed somebody, like, literally, like, physically in front of me to help pull me out of this. Because I couldn't see anything. Like, I think what I had been searching for, like, this whole time in this dark place was, like, love. That was, like, what I was looking for. Like, someone to love me. Not feeling alone. Things like that. And I was so hurt. I remember, actually, the day it happened, I was going through kind of a tough time mentally, and I just prayed, and I was like, I swear, if I get pregnant or something, I was like, I'm gonna leave this. I was so over it because my soul just was just hurting. And literally, like, a week later, found out I was pregnant, and I was like, I'm gonna do this. And it was a hard time to go through too, but it was just a sign, right? That I was like, you're gonna change. I was like, and I had other signs too that had happened, but this was like the one that was like, you're gonna change. So when I had my daughter, like, it just fueled me, like, because I was like, it becomes like, I will never let my daughter go through anything that I went through. Like, it becomes that protective thing, right? And it makes you kick into gear to be like, you have another person to take care of, right? And I was like, I need to change my life. I was like, if you're going to be serious about changing your life, you're going to get it done. And, obviously that's where I'm at now. And if it were for that little one, I would not be here probably in this place talking about this stuff. So, yeah, she was my miracle for me. 100%. There we go. I dropped a tear. I knew I was going to drop one. I was like, where'd you... I just think it's crazy how God works, man. I swear.
Do you consider yourself a spiritual person?
Yes, I do. Yes, absolutely. I think that's the thing that drives me to this day to be able to make it as far as I've come so far.
Is that a chapter in your life right now is that what you're invested in right now?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. More than anything, yes.
Can you share with us, or can you share with me? I mean, did you wake up one day and, all of a sudden you're a believer? Or was it something that was always in your heart?
I think the seed was planted when I was a child, and it stayed with me to protect me until I was ready to have change in my life, in a way that God knew was the right timing. Because when it did happen, I wasn't looking for it. I wasn't trying to go to church. I wasn't reaching. I was very atheist at the time too. Like, I believed in crystals, energy, higher power, things that are kind of this new age religion that a lot of people believe in. That really consumed my life. And like I said, I'd say the reason why I am devoted to being with God and Jesus now is because I could never go back from what I saw and, you know, what he brought to me at the day that I just, like I said, wasn't looking for it. I could never go back. It shook me in a way that was scary, but also it's like I needed to know. So the healing part for me is, and finding success in that is when the reason why I know it's that is because I had the money, right? I had the money and I had these things that were like, you would think that it would, right? Like having a rich person, it makes you happy or whatever. But when they're like, money doesn't make you happy, you really get that when you do actually have it and then don't have it. Because when you see yourself trying to go back to it and what it can make you like and do things for money a certain way, I know it's not good. Now, for me, that's how we survive off is money, right? But to live in that world was not fulfilling my soul. So I knew that like I needed to heal, right? And I felt like I have been needing to heal on my own and like get it done in a certain way for myself, to be able to like figure this out, if that makes sense. And the more that I am doing it, the better it's working because I've noticed the more that I've been able to, you know, forgive the people in my life, or like let go of things that are not serving me, or like just humbling myself more and more as much as I can. That's what's filling my soul. And I just never thought that that's what it would be, right? And it's so simple that you wouldn't think that's what it is. But I'm finding out that is what it is. And it's so hard to do that though. Like, I feel like for humans, it's so hard for us to want to like let go and love on people and build things together now. It's very much so like isolation and feeling alone and things like that. But that's what makes people turn to things and go to things that they probably shouldn't be doing, right? Because they feel those things. And I know that like being able to be a solid person in someone's life just automatically makes people feel better. Like I've noticed the way I've been and changed to like, you know, be an actual good person in society. I was like in a solid friend and that does good. I was like, that's what wins, right? Like no money can buy that. And for me, I would rather try to figure out how to navigate my life through that and, you know, probably struggle a little bit more. But at the end, like, I know, like, I feel good now. Like, I found it, if that makes sense. And I don't have to keep searching. And I definitely believe that God is the source of that. You know, without him, I would not be where I'm at right now at all. Like, there's no way. I give all my credit to him with all of this because I didn't even think he existed. And then now I just like, when you feel that in your soul, it's like everything that does happen in life, it can kind of just calm down a little bit and you learn to relax and enjoy life a little bit more, right? And I think that's what we all want as humans is to connect and enjoy life. And I think that's what now I am turning out to do in my own life, right? With my own people and experiences and what I do in my life in a way that has in turn made my life more beautiful, hence the boxing for me. You know, me stepping into that was something that changed my whole life because I knew I needed to find something to lock in and find myself like discipline, and not go for the other negative outlets. I was like, I gotta find something that's gonna make me feel good. And I think that's extremely important for anybody who is going through anything difficult or in a mental state or place that I've ever been in or close to it, right? Where you can find an outlet that can better your life instead of it veering you off your path. Fortunately, unfortunately, I found it now. So I wish I would have found it sooner, but timing is everything to me. And I do believe that the time was now for me to find it because otherwise I wouldn't be as locked in on it as I am now. So that's where we're at with this, with boxing.
And now you feel at peace?
Yeah, I'm definitely at peace now. I forgave myself. It took me a long time. And you'll know when you really forgive yourself, because you're going to be down to work on yourself, like hard, if you're really wanting to love on yourself. And that could take a long time. Take you your whole life, or sometimes you never even find that. But the day that I was able to forgive myself was when, things changed for me too. I had to like forgive what I had done and the decisions I had made that really hurt me. Because I could have done it the other way, right? If I really wanted to, I could have. I chose not to. I was weak. That was a huge thing too. I was weak. And I had to give myself grace also, knowing that I just didn't, I just was not in the place to handle those things in life. But I forgive myself now because I do understand why I did it. But yeah, I definitely forgive myself because I know that if I wouldn't do that, I would be continuing this journey that would be the wrong one for a long time, right? So I'm very lucky, like I said, to even have the opportunity to forgive myself.
So you run into a lot of young women and young men, boys, and in that crowd is your daughter as well. What do you want them to learn from all of this, from your experience?
To never settle, like, and never give up. Like, no matter how hard it gets, it's like never settle for those things that could hurt you in the future. Because instead of choosing maybe the harder route, even though it may have taken a little bit longer, would have been better for me versus the faster way of doing things and making bad decisions. So yeah, I would say taking your time too on things, like not rushing. I think that a lot of us rush. I feel like we live in a time that we're all rushing. So I would say those would be like my two things, and also enjoying your time too, right? As a kid, and doing things the right way. The thing that is hard though is I can't speak for everyone, because people do go through a lot of things in life that are way harder situations than mine, right? So I can't blame people for going down a path, but I would say, like, just to have kids, just like not give up no matter how hard it gets.
One of the things that we spoke about earlier in our conversation, the lack of love, right? What's one thing that you wish you could have had when you were growing up and when you were going through those tough decisions?
I think I wish I would have had my parents there more. I definitely feel like I would have had, or more help at that time. I wish I would have had more guidance at the time, because I wasn't listening to anything. Like, I just was in my own world. But I just wish, I think I had somebody that would have felt cared more at the time, to make me not feel like these were the only options that I had in my life. Because I think that's what happens too, is you get selfish and you get in this world thinking that no one cares anymore. And I think for me, if I felt like I maybe had a little bit more of that, I would have made better decisions. But I can't force that, obviously. But if I could have had, that, it would have probably made a bigger difference in my life in ways. I think that's why I'm so compassionate now, is because I want to give that back. Like, I don't want anybody or any of my people around me to ever feel alone, or not have somebody that they can come talk to or ask for help.
If I go to a library and I pick a book, and that happens to be your book, and I read about your past, your struggles, your accomplishments, your future, your entire life, what would you like for me to take away from that? And lastly, what would you like the title to be?
Man, that's kind of a deep question. I don't know what the title would be yet, but You're saying like to point out what part of my life that would stick out the most is what you were asking?
What do you want me to remember from that book? Your book.
Yeah, my book.
It's your diary.
I would say finding the good in people still. Throughout this, right? Like having hope for people and not giving up is what I'd hope my story could be about. And I guess there's a few things about it, but yeah, just like learning how to like love on people and things like that. Like I'm a very like genuinely like I genuinely love people. And I think for me, I would hope that people could feel that from me, knowing that like I just want to help people and inspire people to feel good, like, and nothing else, so that they can do that for others, right? And then that becomes a ripple effect, right? Where I know if I am good to somebody, somebody will learn to do that too to the next person. So I hope that that's what my story can help bring. And then the title of it, I mean, I've had like certain things in my mind that I have quotes on, but like they're kind of like spiritual in a way. Like mine would be called The Fishback because that's my last name. And it's only because also like there's stories about Jesus with the fish and stuff, and you know, I'm like, the fish is back. So I'm like, you know, I feel like, you know, God just fueled my soul to help bring that like energy into the world, if that makes sense. I feel like I healed like in ways that like are allowing me to help others to heal now, right? Like I'm like able to be a solid person like that. A few years ago, probably not. I was still working on it. Now though, locked in on that. That's the only thing I want to do now. Is just love on people. That's it.
So I hear you talk. I see your energy. And everyone's going to see, like, God, that world, what she's gone through, and that's only half of it.
I feel like we went through like a 0.5% of it.
But it's just your positive vibes. Give us something why that energy? Why that personality?
Because people need that. People are genuinely like kids at heart, right? Like we all got this like innocence about us that I've noticed, that like we all just want to like be kids. Like we're a bunch of big kids in like grown bodies, I feel like. And I think we all, like I said, are just wanting to like just feel good and things like that in life. And my soul genuinely wants to bring that. Like I want people to remember what it feels like to enjoy life and to not let the crummy stuff affect it so much, right? To where it affects us so badly we can't get out of it. If I don't bring this to people, I want to be serving my purpose now. And I think this was what I was since I was probably in the womb and just kind of veered off my path for a while, and God brought me back to it. So I think that's why the timing is now. Timing is everything. I believe that. So here we are, bringing it on.
Talk to me briefly about the person who touched you in a way that to empower you through boxing. And can you tell us how that relationship has been building?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so my coach, she's amazing, Coach Cam. And it's crazy, like I said, how God works in ways where, like, the timing. And I was in a place where I just, you know, felt like I was, like, kind of wanting to do my thing, but also, like, God was, like, also, like, pushing me towards people that I was like, all right, I'm going to go venture out and see what's out there, serve me. And when it happened, I didn't think, honestly, like I was gonna have the relationship I do with her now, because it became deeper than just boxing. You know, she's one of my close friends now, and she's been such a solid person just in general with, pushing me a certain way, making sure I'm good within the coaching. That helps me feel comfortable, right? To want to keep going with this. Cause this is a tough sport. This is a man's sport, right? And, you know, like being women in this industry, it's tough, right? You're going into that kind of industry, and you know, you gotta be pretty tough cookies, you know, to handle the stuff out there. And she's got that fire in her. And, you know, I just know that when we're together and, you know, doing all this stuff, it just brings such a great energy, like around us in general, even in the gym, like when we're training, like everybody in here, like we're all just a family. And like having the community, right, like that she's built here is so beautiful. And like I feel at home when I'm here. Like everybody loves on me so much. No one judges me. She's never judged me. I think, sorry, that was another thing, is just going to that stuff. Trying to try something new, it's not easy. And a lot of people discourage you and don't want you to go outside of that box. And she she knows I want better for myself and my life, and she wants to help get me there. And I'm not used to that. So that's why I know there's solid people out there, and I didn't think that there was, right? Like I just thought there was this whole, only this. But when you meet people like that, it makes you want to go harder. It makes you want to try harder. Because that stuff feels good. Money can't buy that. So I feel loved, right? I feel like I got good people around me, and I just want to cherish that stuff. And that's what I hope that other people can find too, is to find that, you know, with their friends, family, anything, because like I said, money can't buy that. So that's a very important person to me. That's solid. So I'm very lucky to have her in my life. And she in turn introduced me to you. So I'm very blessed. I just want to help inspire people through what we're doing, and, you know, encourage women, kids, people who are going through it, that, you know, you can push through this stuff, right? And you can be better, you know. And I know that we're going to do that together. And, you know, I'm just excited for the ride. Let's just say that.
Next time I go to the library, it's going to be a different book.
Yes, it'll be a different one. I think the next chapter after this one will be like the one that we're like, okay, we came back, and look at, you know, there's another chapter. This is the start. This is the start.